Welcome. I'm Linda Pansing, one of the trustees of the Ohio Council of Skin and Scuba Divers Incorporated. We are a nonprofit, volunteer-driven organization whose mission is to be an advocate for Ohio diving in promotional, legal, research, safety, education, and environmental matters. And I want to start by saying how excited we are to host tonight's presentation on Gilboa Quarry. Before we jump into the presentation, I want to bring you up to date on some projects we've been working on for the past year. We've updated our Memorial Scholarship Program. If you know of any college students that are pursuing any sort of marine-related degree, please point them to our direction. Details will be posted on social media before the end of the week. To help fund the scholarship program, we're selling t-shirts and polos. These items are special because the first ones to display our new logo. You can get them at customink.com/fundraising/OCSSDI. This inaugural sale ends on August 27th. The new logo was created to support our main project, which is working toward getting a dive-related license plate for Ohio. We're currently taking signatures of support, and information on the project is pinned on the top of our Facebook page. Money generated from license plate sales will be used to further activities related to the mission, much like the scholarship that we are offering. We encourage you, your dive club or dive-related business to join the council. Membership links are included on our web and Facebook pages. By working together and supporting each other, I truly believe we can accomplish great things in the diving community. Next, a few housekeeping notes. First, this session is being recorded and will be made available on the Ohio Council YouTube channel. Secondly, everyone is going to be muted. If you have any questions during the program, please use the chat feature at the bottom of your screen. Our presenter will answer as many questions as he can. Thanks again for joining us. And now a little bit about Andy Silverman, one of the partners of Tank LLC, the company who recently purchased Gilboa Quarry. Andy is also the founder and owner of Columbus Scuba. He has decades of instructing experience through Scuba Schools International, YMCA Scuba, Professional Association of Diving Instructors, and the International Association of Nitrox and Technical Divers. He sits on the advisory board for IANTD and holds the rating of Instructor Trainer. In addition, he serves as a course director and instructor trainer with PADI. With Andy's lifelong passion and commitment to diving, I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that he's involved with the company that has purchased Gilboa Quarry. So take it away, Andy.
There's so many, it looks like there's like 200 people on here already, my goodness. Thanks for having me. It's an honor. I know Ohio Council dates back longer than I've been diving, and I'm glad that you guys are all part of this. And thanks for having me. I want to give a brief. I'm going to try to be as brief as I can, and just kind of explaining and what happened in the acquisition, and what the intentions are for Tank LLC moving forward with Gilboa Quarry. And then I'm going to leave it open for questions, and I think it'd be the easiest way to do it. I know there's a lot of questions. People have been emailing me and texting and calling, and I think just fielding those questions would probably be the best way to get that information out to folks. We closed on the quarry on the 12th of April, and it was a long process, and we didn't know exactly when that closing date was going to occur. So a lot of things were kind of put on hold until the actual closing date. And now that we've closed, things are we're moving quickly as we possibly can, though we're getting really close to the dive season, and not everything that we want to do is going to be implemented right away. Our intentions is to get them up and running as quickly and as efficiently as possible. The three immediate concerns that we had for the quarry are areas of attention, where the first is safety, of course, and the areas there that we've got to really address the stairs being one. I know that they're slippery, so we're going to have traction on those stairs added immediately. Part of the registration process, which I'm going to get into a moment, is we're going to insert a video that's going to better educate not just the divers, but also the instructors that are going there, to give them kind of a better idea of what to expect when they get there. Often, like any other training quarry, we've got new divers that are showing up and they really just don't know what to expect. So we think we're going to help. We think that's going to help in the way of safety as well. So there'll be an awareness video that'll need to be watched. It'll be a mandatory video to watch one time. It'll be a short video, but it'll be an informative video that'll better educate the diver as to what to expect when they get there, and then expectations once they're there at the quarry. Signage, we're going to improve the signage. We've got a sizable budget to just, again, making people aware of what they should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing. Dive master ratios, I'm not 100% sure what they were at Gilboa, but I'm encouraging every dive master and instructor to participate, and they're not going to be charged for it. I know with my personal business at Columbus Scuba, we try to put divers in the water at a ratio of 2 to 1. At the end of the day, it's a quarry, and it's got incredible visibility at Gilboa, but it's still a quarry. So we want to keep those ratios as strong as we can. So we encourage you to get your dive masters out there, and helping and assisting with classes. Just the general emergency action plans have all been updated, and all those sorts of things are going to be, they're all going to be put into play. Mike Stallman's done a lot of research on the area, and we've made some not changes to the emergency action plans, but we've got our own emergency action plans in place. Heaven forbid there should be an accident there. I mean, it's my belief that Gilboa Quarry, and we hear people, it's very deep and it's cold, and I've even heard people even go as far as saying is that it's killed divers. I don't believe that. I think any body of water is capable of somebody drowning or having a diving accident. I think it's just more important that we get that awareness out and what people should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing. The biggest thing is that once you get beyond a certain depth and you're in a certain temperature at in a dive quarry, is that regulators do have a tendency to free flow, and if people aren't trained properly and don't have the right equipment, that's usually where those accidents are starting to occur. So we want to make sure that divers are not arriving at Gilboa Quarry as a diver and thinking that a dive to 100 feet is anything even similar to that than they might be doing in like Bonaire or Cozumel, Roatan, et cetera, is that it's a whole different animal. So again, awareness is our biggest thing there. The second is going to be things to do for non-divers. It's a beautiful quarry, but it gets awful hot in the summer. So we'd like to create a swimming area. We're working on that now. The plan is to bring in 200 tons of sand into the area that begins the road going into Gilboa Quarry and having it partitioned off. We wouldn't have made this investment in the quarry if we thought that was going to compromise the visibility of the quarry. I know people were worried about that, and certainly we're not going to compromise that. So, but we would like to create a swimming area, and we want to do that in a way that it wouldn't affect the visibility of the great visibility of Gilboa. So, expanding camping facilities. Part of that is immediate, and part of that is going to be more of a long-term plan. A lot of folks are bringing their campers there. I know my dive shop's got more than a dozen campers there year-round, and on a given weekend, we can see as many as another dozen. We need to expand that, both on a level with the health department and the EPA, who we've been in very close contact with, and then also for safety standpoints and just convenience for all, all the people that are coming in and camping. So look to see that changes immediately, and then some bigger changes long term is we're going to be moving that all the RV camping over into the field that's just east of the quarry. That was part of the acquisition as well. Repairs to the bathhouses, we've already started on that, and we're going to continue to make repairs there. which will include adding more showers, particularly on the outside, so people can rinse off without having actually to go into the bathhouses, modesty doors, just general repairs in the bathhouses. One of the challenges that we face is that initially the septic system that was put into Gilboa was put in to accommodate, not to accommodate the number of people that it's grown to today. So, there's a couple of solutions to that. One would be to expand the septic system already existing at Gilboa, and the other would be to put a new septic system in across the bridge over on the field on the east, and then move a good deal of the camping over there. So this way it's spread out throughout the property. So that's the long-term plan there. Porta johns, those are gonna be cleaned up, and we'll end up renting new porta johns, and just that'll just become a little bit better of an experience also especially along that shallow side of the quarry. Incorporating the lower field into, for those of you that have been to Gilboa or been to Gilboa within, I'd say probably the last 10 years or so, that lower field, where you'll see there's some culverts that are piled up there, that's not in use right now as an area that's accessible to divers, and all that's prime real estate right there. And that's going to be set up, picnic tables for camping, people being able to lay out tarps, etc. And there's going to be access to the water there as well. So I think that'll help both on a convenience standpoint and also on a safety standpoint. So look to see that happening as well. The registration process is a big one. I know there's long lines at Gilboa on the weekends, particularly on the nicer weekends, where sometimes people are waiting over an hour to get in, and that's time that they can be spending diving. So right now we are in the process of putting together and have been in the process of putting together an online registration process that would include a membership. And without getting too long-winded, the membership would be of no cost, but that would give an opportunity for the divers, instructors, depending on how you're coming into the quarry, to actually register and download all your documents ahead of time, and doing all that at home, signing your liability releases, having those liability releases that are good for a year, and making that process just very streamlined. So when you pull into the quarry, it's going to be just scanning a QR code on your phone, and then getting into your parking place and having everything pre-signed and ready to go, so that you can just start diving right away. There'll be procedures in place for classes. There'll be people that are bringing classes in. There'll be procedures in place for solo diving is a big one that has come up. And solo diving, it's a certification with PADI, with INTD, SD. All the training agencies have it. They all call it something different. But it is a training, and there's equipment that are involved in solo diving, and we're going to permit it. It just has to be done in a way that people are providing the documentation that they need, that we're requiring for that. Same thing with instructors and dive masters, is that we're going to want to see memberships renewed annually, and proof of liability insurance for anybody that's doing any sort of supervision or instructing over at the quarry. All of that will be illustrated in the website. Right now, the current website is still active. There's a new website that's going to be, Steve Luchin's is our IT guy, and he has been working around the clock on a new website. He's been working on it for a long time. We're going to get that up. That's going to become live here pretty soon. And there'll be links from the main website into the registration page. And obviously the idea is to make that a seamless process. And once you've registered as a member, you'll be able to go through that registration process pretty seamlessly. It's not something that we're actually developing. It's already been developed. We're purchasing it, and we're going to continue to, it's an annual thing that we're working with a company called Roller. We've vetted dozens of companies, and this one, it seems like it's going to be the most conducive to what we're doing. Ultimately, what will happen is that it'll be like visiting an amusement park, and we'll have printers that will automatically, they're going to generate a wristband that'll have everything that's been purchased, et cetera. Our initial intent was to actually, and it's possible to have wristbands where anything can be purchased down, down to a candy bar or an air fill. The problem with it is that that we've just recently found out is that those wristbands would be sensitive to depths, so people couldn't dive with them. So we'll look for an alternative to that to keep people from having to run into their cars to grab cash, et cetera, to buy a Snickers bar, to buy an air fill. So but we'll get something figured out. Credit cards has come up. Yes, we're going to be taking credit cards. We're going to be taking them quickly. In fact, it's my hopes that we can remove cash from the equation and just keep, we just live in a world with credit cards, and we wouldn't expect to do it any differently. Again, longer term, we're looking at things like camping, expanding that area. There's a 4-acre field, and we're looking to expand that and put an additional bathhouse over there. So I think that's going to add a lot of comfort also to the quarry. It'll also allow for more parking. I know parking's been an issue there on really busy days, and where it's been overflowing into into other areas. The amenities or the attractions that have been parked in the parking lot, most of the junk has been cleared out. One of those airplanes is earmarked to be at the bottom of the quarry. There are several boats. Some are sinkable, some are not sinkable. They're being cleaned literally as we speak. The school bus has been pulled out. It's across the street right now, having anything that's got any sort of oil or whatever removed from it. The windows have already been pulled out, and that's going to be dropped pretty quickly here. So you'll see some new attractions underwater as well. I think it's going to add to the fun of the quarry. That's all I really have for right now. I know a lot of people have questions, and I want to answer them best I can. I think, Linda, you said you're going to have them popping up on the chat screen, or
yeah, we have already have several questions coming in, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and read them to you, and then
that'd be great.
Respond. Okay, let's go to, you've already answered, yes, bathrooms are improving and better ones are coming. And about those prehistoric portalets, are they going, you already said they're going to be replaced. So,
I'm sorry, the prehistoric?
The old, like 1960s portalets.
Yes, yeah, they're going to go away.
Okay. Someone has posted up that they're a free diving instructor and would like to hear if any policy changes around free diving and free diving instruction will occur. Thank you. Yeah,
so free diving is a fast-growing sport, and we certainly support it. I know that Julie Anderson, Underwater Connections, done an amazing job with helping that sport grow, and people are just latching on to that, and we want to support that. Anything we can do in order to support free dive. It's Ohio Council of Skin and Scuba Diving, and we feel the same way. So to answer that question, if the question is, are we going to allow free diving? The answer is yes. What are the, other questions associated with that?
Yeah, free diving instruction will be fine there as well.
Free diving instruction will be permitted there, absolutely. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We hope that grows. It's what a wonderful sport. It's down in Florida. It's blowing up down there, and I think it's great.
Excellent. Any thoughts on expanding or improving the bunk houses? Bringing that little rental house back would be fantastic.
Yeah, that's already started. This is a much bigger undertaking than people might think. So yeah, long term, we'd like to even bring cabins in there. The bunk houses, they need some work. As of right now, they've been evacuated. The the main office is going to temporarily shift, not temporarily, is going to, the dive shop is, and the office there is going to be operated out of what some people call the cottage, which is the first building to your right as you're pulling in. And that will become the check-in office. And then the dive shop will remain a dive shop, but it'll be designed more as a dive shop for rental equipment and air fills. We're adding a membrane system, another 20 horsepower compressor for a nitrox membrane system, another 20 horsepower compressor. We're going to bank nitrox 32. And I think that's going to be great. So I think that'll help also with, the instructional facility, all the dive shops and being able to, help promote nitrox courses and teaching nitrox. And it's my belief that we can grow that also, as an industry, the use of nitrox gas. I know on all of our trips, if we have a trip and we've got 50 people going, 48 of them have signed up for nitrox on any of the trips we've gone on. So.
Yep. There was a question that kind of goes along that vein that I want to scroll down to. Someone would like to know how the fill policy regarding small doubles might work. Currently, my double LP 46s are treated the same as double 104s.
Your low pressure, I'll be honest with you, it's not, low pressure 46s is not something that I've really considered up till now. I don't have a really good answer for that question right now, to be quite honest with you. I mean, in my eyes, doubles are doubles, but I'll jot that down and we'll look at that.
And what I'm going to do too is for any of the chats, I'm going to be sending Andy these as well afterwards. So he'll have your wishes and your list, and at least that makes him aware of maybe some things like this that wasn't necessarily on the radar that some people might be thinking about. So even if we don't get to answering all of the questions tonight, be assured that he will be getting all of these questions. So it'll be answered somehow.
Yeah, I'll take the time tonight to answer them all if I need to. So.
Okay, great. There was a concern about the beach area possibly impacting the fish spawning area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that fish spawning area is beyond where the swimming area would be, and it'd be clearly separated. So I don't believe it's going to have an impact on the fish spawning area. I don't know that fish are really spawning there, but it's not going to be impacted either way.
Okay. Someone has requested a washer dryer, especially a dryer.
Not something that we've considered, but I'm going to put it on our list of. I'm guessing the dryers for undergarments, or I don't know if. I'll put it on our list, and if somebody wants to ask that question more specifically, like the intent, I'll answer that tonight.
Okay, it may be just for like towels. I would guess.
Sure. Yeah.
They're going and taking a shower, and they're getting out of the quarry and drying off.
Gotcha. You mean a washer dry, like a clothing washer and dryer? I'm assuming is what. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Do you have a sense of what your anticipated diver capacity is, or might be that you're projecting with these additional parking spaces?
The additional parking spaces it's more of a shift in parking than anything else. Is that it's just been kind of very random there. So obviously, as a quarry owner, we're hoping that we've got a good turnout. We can't afford for there not to be a good turnout. And we're going to have to grow accordingly. And if that means adding, more training platforms, dock space, whatever it is that we need to add, we'll add it. there's no governing body that says we could have X number of divers in there. So as an upper number, I've not really said, okay, well, we can have X number of divers and we're going to cut it off there. If we need to, we will. If we see it as a safety concern, then we're going to cut it off. I think it'd be a good problem to have, but certainly I don't want to, overpack the place to the point where it's unsafe or unenjoyable.
Somebody loves your plan and thanks you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, question or statement. I was there when we had the big storm that knocked down over a lot of trees. Many of the trees still have a lot of dead branches. Any plans on trimming them down?
Yeah, I don't know if Doug Highland is on this Zoom call or not. But he was there with several people for several days. And most of that has already been addressed. I think you guys would be shocked when you get there to see how much was cut out. And I don't mean just tiny little branches. I mean like 18-inch thick dead trees that were all pulled out and cut down, and either, used firewood or parking stops. So that's already in process.
Okay. Not one that's on the list, but one just came to mind along talking about the trees. How about those big holes along the berm where people could potentially use that space for stowing their gear or putting down a tarp? I mean, those are big and they go down pretty deep.
Yeah.
Might be addressed at some point.
It's a great question, and it's already being addressed. In fact, it's already started. If you're familiar with the shallow side of the quarry, there are gigantic mounds of dirt that are taking up space that can be used for divers, both for parking, tarps, etc. And then on the other side, there's just massive holes, and there's even just holes in general. That dirt we're already in the process of filling those holes with that dirt. I mean, so really, it was kind of a no-brainer, but some very heavy machinery has been brought in to do that, and that process has already started. So I think whomever's asking that question, you'll be happy when you see it here in a few weeks.
Somebody has deep side attractions, exclamation point, smiley face. So yeah. Any stuff that you could put in the deep side, I think that they would like to see.
Yeah, there's going to be, again, sinking attractions isn't as simple as people think it might be. It's not just as simple as rolling a vehicle in there. But literally at the moment, there are all those, not all of those, but a lot of those major attractions are being power washed, scrubbed out. All the oil and transmissions are being dropped out of them. In fact, they just finished the school bus this afternoon, and and those need to be sunk by the right people. It's not just as simple as just pushing them into the quarry, but yeah, it's all going to happen, and that includes the deep side. While it's important for us, for divers, and again, that's going to come with awareness, not to just wander over to the deep side because there's something in 100 foot of water. Yeah, we realize that the deep divers are entitled to see that sort of stuff at the bottom too, when we want to increase the number of attractions down in the deeper water. So you'll see that happen for sure.
Excellent. You may have already answered this one, but registration process for instructors, that will be done the same way online?
It will be done the same way. It'll just be through a different, I'm not an IT guy, so forgive me if I'm using the wrong terminology, is that once in fact, I just did a kind of mock run through it today that Steve had sent me, is that when you're going in and you're registering, it'll direct you one of two ways, as a dive professional or as a diver or student. And from there, it will prompt you to enter and load the information that we would need in order for you to teach. So if you're teaching, whether you're a dive master or an instructor, for one, there's not going to be any fee associated with it. I appreciate every dive master assistant instructor and instructor that shows up at these quarries, because they're keeping people safe ultimately. And we want to increase those numbers. We think it's important that they're there. But at the same time, we need to collect certain documents. I know at least it's the policy, right? The prior policy was that they weren't collecting things like liability insurance documentation, and that's so it's only gonna have to be done once, and it can be done from your own home. But we're gonna need to have that on file. But that'll be a nice, easy, streamlined process.
Excellent. Wi-Fi improvements.
Yeah, a great question. And I know that it's a request. In short, I just explained this to one of the partners today. As far as Wi-Fi, we actually house the Wi-Fi tower for that area. That's right at the top of that giant building. So next time you're there, you have a look up. So the Wi-Fi is there, and it would be very difficult to extend that Wi-Fi along, say, the shallow side of the quarry all the way to the back. However, we're going to open it up. It's just going to be one of those things where you might have to come to a certain spot in the quarry closer to that main building in order to access it. So if you're at the furthest spot camping way in the back along the shallow side of the quarry, you're not going to be able to stream Netflix from your tent. But if you need to check emails or whatever, you'll easily be able to log on to, to high speed internet service. It would just be closer to that building. I'd love to have what they call campus wide internet. To set up a system like that is tens of thousands of dollars, and I just don't see where that'd be feasible for us to do. So so to answer the question, yes and no. So
unless someone would love to donate tens of thousands of dollars.
Right. Sure. If there's anybody that's capable of doing that, give me a call.
Someone wants to know, will you still need to buy a camping pass to take your vehicle back to the dive area?
Yeah, again, great question. And that's been a question for a long time. Here's the problem with driving. What I'm trying to do is eliminate people from driving and parking back there, because there's only so much space. And anybody who's been there on a day where it's busy, which is often, people wouldn't fit back there. It's not that wide of a road in an area. So that's the easiest way to control it. And while it might seem that it's like hey, we're money hungry, this and that, it's the easiest way to control from 200 cars driving into that back area where it would just be an absolute mess. So unfortunately, to answer that question, the answer is yeah, you would. And part of the solution, and that's our goal, is to find solutions to all of these problems and all these challenges, we'll call them. One of the solutions to that challenge is that we're going to open that lower field, and we're going to put significant resources into that lower field, so that if you're parking in the main lot, that you're not taking your equipment and not having to haul your equipment, all the way, 500 yards down that road. But you can only imagine what that would look like if we just said, sure, everybody just drive your cars back there and park them. Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense.
Someone does, don't get rid of the black and white kitty. She's cool.
Oh, she's adorable. She's not going, I don't know the cats, but yeah.
Excellent.
Who asked that question? I'm just curious.
Someone named Lisa.
Somebody named Lisa. Okay, wonderful. Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Lisa. I'll keep an eye out for that cat. Yeah.
Okay. Somebody loves the school bus. Have you set a price for air and nitrox fills yet?
Yeah, and like I said, we're bringing in that membrane system. The air fills are going to continue. They'll be $10. Nitrox, I want to say currently a nitrox fill there is $18. And once we have that membrane system in place, that the price of nitrox will drop to no less than $14 for a nitrox fill. It'll be free for instructors. We're going to encourage them to use nitrox. For dive masters and assistant instructors, everything will be half priced.
Okay. Someone has wondered if the speed limit can be raised.
Again, great question. It's not my goal to raise the speed limit there. You know, in regard to the speed limit, I agree with the previous owner that people need to drive slowly and carefully through there. You know, there's children and they're walking around, and people in general, and we need to be cognizant of that. So to answer that question, no, I'm not raising the speed limit. We're just going to find more delicate ways to enforce that speed limit.
Yeah. Okay. What about 2020 memberships that were paid last year? Are they still going to be valid?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Will you sell rebreather absorbent?
I've thought about that. In fact, I just recently got trained and purchased on a new rebreather. I wish I had more time to go put some hours on it. But yeah, we've talked about that, even putting in, you know, cleaning stations for rebreathers. And if that's something that is requested, then we'll carry it, you know. And I think that's really what it boils down to. I do want to make it clear that Full Tank and Gilboa Quarry, we're not looking to compete with the dive centers. Not with my dive center or any other dive center. We need to be there to, you know, so we would encourage anybody to buy as much as they can from their dive centers. But we'd like to carry things sometimes that people run out of. If somebody's bites through a mouthpiece or needs a, you know, some of the smaller items, those are the types of things that we're looking at carrying. You know, we're not looking at selling rebreathers or selling BCDs, regulators, or that sort of thing. It's our hope that people will turn to their dive centers to buy that sort of stuff. But if people think we need to keep a couple of kegs of absorbent there, not a problem. We'll keep it there if we think it's a need.
As far as the deep diving goes, will there still be a requirement for a deep diving plan and a no deco policy?
And a no, sorry, you cut
deco
out.
Policy.
A no decompression policy.
Yeah.
So everybody knows what people are doing in the way of diving. It's people need to dive within the limits of their training. And that's really what it amounts to. And that training would include not just having a deep card, but are you a qualified and you know, an able diver in deep, colder water? Because I know personally it's a different animal than what you're going to find in, you know, dropping down to 80 or 90 feet, you know, on a reef in the Caribbean is nothing like diving to 80 or 90 feet in Gilboa. As far as filing a deep dive plan with us, that's not going to be necessary. Having the credentials and the training and the equipment to go deep is going to be necessary. I can't stop anybody, you know, from entering on, you know, the shallow side of the quarry and swimming down to 120 feet. But I'm going to do what I can to encourage people not to do that. You know, especially if they're not qualified in that sort of diving. So I think that's my biggest concern is that people, they quickly say, well, I've been to 90 feet in Cozumel, so I can go to 90 feet at Gilboa or any other quarry for that matter. It's, you know. Yeah.
Okay. Will you honor prepaid airfill cards?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay.
Anything, just to elaborate, anything that's been prepaid, we're going to honor. Yep.
Okay. Would it be possible to do fills by the cubic foot and not one price, one fill?
And I've thought about that, and you know, places. I'm down in Cave Country often, and I know they do that, and they fill, especially nitrox, by the cubic foot. The problem with that is going to be efficiency, is trying to track, you know, to have to have, 10 tanks hooked up filling at once and trying to track, each pressure and this and calculating it all out, it would just be too tedious. So as much as I'd like to do that, it's just not going to be practical enough to do that.
The check-in policy for this weekend, how is that going to work?
For this coming weekend?
Yes.
Yeah, so and we've had divers there already. This past weekend was operating under Full Tank LLC, and there are new liability releases because it's a new business and it's just what our insurance companies require. So the check-in policy is going to be to check in. I don't want to change things twice. So essentially, it's the same way. It's going to be the same way until we get that registration process, the online registration process in full swing and tested, et cetera, which we plan to do quickly, hopefully within the next 4 to 6 weeks. The process is going to be, for the most part, the same. You'll need to come in, sign a paper liability release, which will get filed, show your certification cards, pay, et cetera.
Okay. Will there be tank rentals available?
Yes.
Okay. Do we need to contact you in advance when we come, maybe next week during the week?
No, the quarry's open, so the posted hours are going to be the posted hours. Whether that changes in the future, right now, the posted hours for Gilboa are 8 in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday through Friday, and we're open for that. So you don't need to call up to the quarry ahead of time. I can tell you a lot of us are there right now. There's an incredible amount of work to be done. So yeah, not a problem moving forward.
Okay. What is the under the new ownership? What are the costs for per day diving, airfill, and parking beyond the parking lot?
Yeah, at the moment, nothing is changing. That is my easiest answer without going through a whole list of all the. Yeah, nothing is changing as of right now.
We have an answer to the dryer question. It's for undies.
Undergarments for dry suit undergarment. I've thought about that myself.
Or just regular underwear.
Oh, just regular underwear. Oh, that I've not thought about. I would say, until we'll look into it. Until then, I would just pack an extra pair.
Excellent. Any thoughts around nighttime entertainment and or food trucks?
Absolutely. In fact, one of my partners is he's excited about bringing food trucks in, and I think it's a good idea. So yeah, we'll start with one. We'll see how that goes, and then we'll see if we have to, if we want to bring some more in. As far as evening entertainment, we'd like to. In fact, Mid-Ohio Divers is looking at putting a stage in for us for live music. So that's definitely something that we want to incorporate into the quarry. Portage Quarry, which I was there, I've been at Gilboa probably for, I'd say, the last 10 years. The prior 10 years to that, I was at Portage Quarry, and that was something that Jeff Rice did very well. He brought in great entertainment often, and it was a lot of fun, and we want to be able to do that as well. So that's a lot of the vision is coming from that. So
excellent.
Yeah, Jeff Rice is out there. Hey, you did it right, man.
Yeah. That was, for those who are younger, you missed out. Someone wants to know if the rock climbing wall is coming back.
So the rock climbing wall, it's Vertical Reality. That company is owned by Russ Bourne. And Russ is a wealth of knowledge in climbing ropes and all that sort of stuff. I am not. And that was never owned by Mike Williams or any of the previous owners. It's going to continue to be owned by Russ Bourne and operated, and we've signed a 3-year extension with Russ. Whether he brings that in on a recreational level or not, I don't know. I know the bulk of his work right now is done with confined space training and that sort of thing. OSHA and things that I don't know any more about than flying a rocket ship. So Russ is wonderful at what he does, and we want to support him if he wants to open up, recreational climbing and zip lines and all that. We're going to support him in doing that, but it's really his call. So I don't know that everybody realizes that climbing wall is not really part of the Gilboa operation. It's just a contract that they have to run that portion of it, and all the revenues and liabilities and everything fall on Vertical Reality. So we'll have to see what Russ does there.
Okay. Someone wants to know if you're taking any volunteers to help with anything.
We are, and we have, and we've had, oh my God, I mean, the number of volunteers that have come through has been overwhelming, to say the least. And it's something that we've thought about for months and months. And our biggest challenge with volunteers and all the people, I mean, literally hundreds of calls that have come in, is making sure that if people show up to volunteer, that we actually have something for them to do. And I don't mean that in a sarcastic or type of way. There's not a Home Depot a mile from that quarry. So we need to be prepared with the projects and the tools in order to do those, to do that sort of volunteer work. If somebody wants to volunteer, please reach out to us. We'd love for you to help. So people, for example, I mentioned Doug Hyland. He showed up. He's very good at cutting and tree and arbor, he's wonderful at cutting and, working a chainsaw, which I know nothing about. And he came at, a couple of people, and they did an amazing amount of work. But they brought their chainsaw, he's got a 60-inch chainsaw. I don't have a 60-inch chainsaw to cut that sort of stuff. So if there's something specific that you had in mind, and we've had people, everything from planting flowers to doing electrical work, et cetera, reach out to us ahead of time just so we can be prepared for it. And we appreciate it more than you could ever know. But we would just need to know in advance and just be ready for you to help. Thank you, whoever that is. We appreciate you.
We had someone who says they were there yesterday and it looks different already. So it must have been a lot of.
Oh, great.
Weekend.
Yeah. Yesterday was the one day that I've not been there since we've closed. I actually had to come back to Gilboa. I know we've done a lot of work already in the 5 days that up until then. It was incredible the amount of work that we had gotten done, and a lot of that was volunteer work, and we appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you.
Any plans to add any more paddlefish or sturgeon to the quarry in the future?
Yeah, one of our instructors at Columbus Scuba he's a wealth of knowledge and that sort of stuff, and he's already and he has been looking into the types of fish that would be more conducive to that quarry. That would belong in that sort of quarry. Yeah, we'd like to add more fish. It's on our list of things to do. There's a lot of fish there already, so not so much adding more fish, because there are an incredible number of fish in there already, but adding more of a variety of fish but again, it's more than people just think. We have to make sure that they're all going to cohabitate together correctly and all that sort of thing. So Scott Heidrich is a great person for that, and he's been researching it. So we're look for that to happen eventually. Okay.
Yeah. There was another question about the rules for driving back and or camping on the shallow side, which I think you earlier. Do you have any events that you're adding to the Gilboa calendar? Will common areas better facilitate dive community events?
That is our biggest focus, is building this community, is building the dive community. When I first started diving in Ohio in the late 90s, breathing air, or subaquatics, which is breathing air, still in existence, but subaquatics was the dive shop that was, I guess they were a subsidiary of breathing air. they did that very well with events and hosting events and bringing the whole dive community together, all the shops, just bringing them all together. We're looking to do that again. So any suggestions are well appreciated. And we want to make more common areas. We want to utilize that giant deck in the back of the above and behind the dive shop. We want to utilize that lower field as a big area. If there are specific events that people want to have, please reach out to us so that we can better accommodate you. We just need to know about it. And if you know me well as a person, I'm all ears. I'm very open-minded to that. All the success that I found in my other business came from a collective effort of a lot of people. And that's what I'm hoping for again. So.
Excellent. Golf carts, are they okay still?
Absolutely. In fact, and we haven't made a final decision on this yet, but we've even looked into bringing in golf carts that can be rented. Okay. So I would much rather see golf carts moving around that place than full-on vehicles, So again, while it's not a necessity, we will probably give it a shot as a rent, see what the requests are for it. And if it can even just sustain itself, we're going to bring them in. We've already talked to several companies. We've got, one of the guys that we work with right now, Barry Bowen's been looking into that, and I thank him for that work that he's done.
Okay. Along that same line, someone says that golf carts often speed a lot more than the cars would, and that there could be some issues with that, and maybe having a beer and driving one of the golf carts.
Was that having beer and driving? Oh, drinking and driving. Yeah. I mean, obviously that's not something that we condone. And if we've seen that happen, if you've seen that we just need to know about it. It's controlling that many people and knowing exactly what everybody's doing at all times is not an easy thing to do. But if you make us aware of it, then obviously we're going to stop that sort of thing. Bringing in speed bumps is something that we're doing right away. So hopefully that will help as well, both with regular vehicles and golf carts.
Okay. All right. I just want to let Andy know that we're coming up. We've got about 7 more minutes until 8 o'clock, and you have 52 other questions to go. So,
that's it, huh?
Yeah, that's it. So I'm just letting you know. I'm going to go through these. I know that there's some that you have answered already, and if that's the case, if I don't answer your question from here on out, you might want to check out the Ohio Council YouTube page. This will be on, this presentation will be on there, and then you can find out the answer from that. So someone has said that they work for a wireless internet company, bigger but similar to what is out there. Wi-Fi is possible for the whole park and not that much money. So do you want this person named Brian to give you a call?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. I've explored it. The company that we've got right now in the tower that's at the top of Gilboa is Metalink. And we've had in-depth conversations with them in regard to what they call campus-wide Wi-Fi. If somebody has a solution to that, again, a reasonable solution to that, please get a hold of me. I'd love to know about it.
Excellent. Have you thought about an underwater surveillance system and speakers, underwater recall system?
Mermet Springs, and I've not been there, apparently has something like that. It's on our list to go visit that place. Believe it or not, I've not been there. I've not been to Dutch Springs, which are very successful quarries in the no, Dutch Springs, not so much the Midwest, but ones that I'm familiar with. And I'd love to visit those facilities. And why reinvent the wheel? So we're going to take ideas from them. Apparently it works. I'd want to talk to the owner about how he's put that in place and how it works. And yeah, again, we're open to everything. We're open to things that make sense.
Okay. There's a question on what the charge is for DMTs.
for dive masters. Dive masters and trainings are students, so my quick answer to that is it'll be the same as any other student that was ever out there.
Okay. Is there a plan for improving the trail to the deep diving platform?
Improving the trail, the hill going down. I'd be lying if I said that I've got something, already planned for it. But if we can look into that for sure. There's a lot of things that need to be done. And we'd like to get everything done. Obviously it's not going to happen all overnight. But we want to know, what I've been there for a long time, and I've looked and I've listened, and I've got a pretty good idea of the things that need to change there, for better or worse. And if there are additional things, I just need to know about them. We need to know about them, and then we can look at making those changes. So if that trail down to the deep dive dock is unsafe, then somebody should pull us aside, and we'll get a solution for it.
Well, I think the comment that somebody made earlier, that they were there this weekend and it looks amazing. It shows that you have already done a lot of improvements there.
We're trying.
We can only expect more and better things. So, yay. Will the slanted steps on the docks be repaired?
Yeah, that's, and I kind of talked about that as one of our safety concerns, and absolutely, and putting traction on them. And it's not just that they're wood, it's just that, naturally algae is going to build up on that. So we're putting grading along every one of those steps. That's one of my biggest concerns right now, are those steps. So yeah, that'll absolutely 100% be addressed, and quickly.
Excellent. What's the best place to monitor online to keep abreast of changes as they occur? The new website, Facebook page, etc.
Yeah, look, in a world, I am not a social media guru by any stretch, but it's funny, people send me stuff all the time I've not even seen. And the website's we're gonna try to put as much on the website as we can, and we're also gonna try to announce through all avenues of social media. That's the easiest way for us to get information out, is through social media. And we just hope that people help spread whatever that information is. And once we get that registration process in place, it's not going to be useful unless people know about it ahead of time. So it's going to be important for us to reach out to all the dive shops, which we intend to do once that happens, or prior to it happening, and letting them know what that registration process is going to look like, and how it can help. It's going to help the instructors and the dive centers. They can get started earlier. They don't have to worry so much about sitting on lines, etc. So.
There's a question about food. It's pretty specific, but I'm going to open it a little wider. What are you going to have any food options available at the dive shop on a regular basis? It's going to be like chips and a Snickers, or might you have things like burgers?
Yeah, there's a line between a restaurant and selling concession items. And right now it's not, our focus is not building a restaurant there. Which would involve a food license and a whole nother, it may be down the line, I don't know. But right now our intention is to once it gets busy enough to sustain food trucks, is to bring in food trucks, because we know that it's a lot easier than driving into town. If we can put, affordable food trucks out there that we're not running, that, we're just allowing them to be there. I think that'll be a big help. But no, to answer your question, no, we're not going to be opening any sorts of restaurant type stuff. But our plan is to bring food trucks, and that will.
Okay. This one has quite a few questions. Will you be making an improvement for RV or campers, and can we bring our family? Can we rent for the whole season? Camper parking and picnic areas for divers and families? And can we bring pets?
Yeah. So, and again, RV expanding RVs require electric and water and all that, and there's only so much. It's already overfilled. We're looking to expand that, and we're in the process of that. I've got a commercial electrician coming on Saturday to help with that. If you guys are familiar with the operation of Columbus Scuba, we've got a lot of campers up there right now, and it's pretty much overloaded. And then on any given weekend, the other areas become overloaded. So yes, and it's going to take a minute, but we just need to branch out that electric appropriately. And a lot of it has to do with the health department and also with the way that they're going to allow it. And we're not going to pet the cat backwards when it comes to the health department and the EPA. So yeah, I'd like to get as many campers and RVs in there. Yes, we're going to sell season passes. Yes, we're going to allow pets. There will be different requirements for pets. For example, we're going to need to see proof of rabies shots and that sort of thing are going to be required. And again, that's more of an insurance thing than it is a full tank decision.
Okay. This is a comment. There also may be entertainment options in nearby Ottawa, bands, etc. at Rex Park. Dinner at Road Pig Inn, and there's 2 hardware stores in Ottawa closer to the quarry than Findlay. So
I know. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. And any sort of suggestions there, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I will just ask this question. Can we add colorful rocks in the parking area?
Linda, you still there?
Take that seriously.
Oh no, you just cut out. I didn't even hear what you said.
Can we add colorful rocks to the parking area?
Sure. Next question.
You know the person who asked this question, so don't
worry. Yeah. I got you. Thank you.
Will there be any change to the no fishing rule?
There will not be a change to the no fishing rule.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to get involved with monofilament line and pulling out the fish that we've got there for divers to see. So yeah, there's not going to be any fishing there. I'm sure fishermen are chomping at the bit to catch some of those beautiful fish, but no, we'd like to keep them in the quarry.
Someone camped there last summer with no dive partner.
Linda, you're cutting out. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I camped there last summer with no dive partner. Will there be organized group dives that single divers can join without having to search for a dive buddy?
There is a, Steve Luchin's put up a buddy finder on the website. It sounds like whoever's asking this question already tried to explore that avenue. Maybe didn't have any success there. It's something, I tell you, one of the things that I've thought about and that, I haven't put a whole lot of energy behind is really in the Midwest, dive masters are really not utilized the same way that they're used down in, say in the Caribbean or in Florida, where they're diving off of dive boats and that. Yeah, I'd like to figure out a way to make them more available so that if somebody wanted a tour of the quarry, to see around and kind of, no pun intended, get their feet wet with diving in a quarry, that we can do that. So there's been discussion about it. You can only imagine the list of things that we have to do, but there's been a lot of discussion about that, is maybe making dive masters available for whatever, so that somebody might be able to buddy up with them.
Someone wants to know if you're considering bringing back demo days.
Absolutely. And we've already talked with a lot of the dive companies, and they are chomping at the bit to get out there and set up. I can tell you Dive Right being a huge one, Apex and Aqualung being another, DUI. They're all really, really excited about this acquisition, and they want to get their products out. Scuba Pro was just there at the shop, Eric, and they all want to get out there. So yeah, we're going to do everything we can to get the equipment companies out there with their products for people to try and demo and see and get their hands on. Yeah.
Excellent. There's a question. I think I might know the answer. But what are your plans for the 10 by 10 concrete culvert?
The 10 by 10, the previous owner is actually, he wants to take those with him. And so I really wasn't in a position to argue. I know that there was an intention at some point to put in like a 250-foot cave and all that. And while that sounds appealing and all, I don't know that I would have done that anyway. But yeah, and they're nice big pieces of concrete, and I'd love to have them in the quarry, but he's taking them with him.
Okay, I think you've answered the question about, well, the trail to the deep docks does need attention. Just
Okay.
FYI.
We'll have a look at it and we'll get something figured out there for him.
Yeah, a lot of people are very excited to come out and see the changes. Someone has put in a request for Oreos to be able to be purchased.
Absolutely.
Will you be putting, let's see, will you be putting a dump station for campers?
Yeah, it's going to be one of two. Either we're going to have to put in direct line septic into the septic, or we're going to have to create a a formal dump station for the campers. But to answer that question, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Can you bring a generator for your camper and run it during the day?
Not something I've thought about, but I'm going to put it on my list of things to consider.
Okay. Someone was interested in waterproof maps of the quarry.
Waterproof maps of the quarry?
Yes.
Again, not something that I had on my list. It's on my list now. Yeah, like laminated maps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Someone has asked if there's going to be a space available, like a classroom space for instructors to do a quick debrief or academic review.
Yeah, absolutely. As an instructor, I can use one. So yeah, the plan is to definitely put in at least a classroom so that could be used. That'll just be another thing that where if we see a big demand for it, we'll put in a second. We'll put in a third. We have to carefully place our resources, to the things that are most important right now. The number one being safety. That's going to always be at the top of our list. And, the next on our list is things for non-divers to do. And then, the registration process. So, but once we start getting past that, sure, absolutely. I'd love to see more classroom space. I'd love to see, we did last year because of COVID, we ended up teaching so many classes there at the quarry. One of the things that Mike put in, which he did, what an amazing job, was those chest deep training platforms that we were able to teach full courses out there and use them as a confined water environment. So to see more instructors coming out and teaching a complete open water course would be wonderful. And whatever tools they need to do that, we're going to do our best to provide them.
Okay. Here's a suggestion. Have you thought about anchoring a boat to use for boat diving classes?
Yeah. We were just talking about that the other day. And I think I'm leaning more towards something we don't already have right now, which would be more of a pontoon style boat. I'm a little bit leery of just putting a traditional, like one of those cabin cruisers in there. It would have to be something that, again, just a little safer. I think it would be the easiest word for me to use there. So again, as a vision, I get it, and we want to do it, and it makes for teaching boat diving and that whole thing. But we have to do it the right way. So, and it is on our list of things to do.
Excellent. How about a playground for kids?
Yeah, we've talked about that, and that's all part of things to do for non-divers. Yeah, and I realize that right now, there's a lot of kids that are just wandering around in that parking lot and like climbing on old planes and that. So like that's got to stop. So, but everything that we need to, all those challenges we need to find solutions for. So a playground would be a solution for people, for kids climbing on old cars and that sort of, and then removing, of course, all those old cars, which is already in process. So yeah, playground's on our list of things to do for sure.
Excellent. In the shop area, will you have a spot for repairs for equipment malfunctions?
Yeah, we're putting in, there's a whole room that'll be dedicated to that. Initially we've got the right tools to come up there that have already been brought up there. And, I'd be lying to tell you that we've already got workbenches already built. But that's our intention, so that, it happens all the time. I mean, again, I'm an instructor with the shop, and it just happens. It's just the nature of regulators. Things happen, and we need a way to be able to fix those on site.
Excellent. Someone made a suggestion or comment, floating dock that resembles a dock. Virginia has that for boat dive classes.
Right. And that's what I meant by more of a pontoon style flat platform with maybe a bench to do back roll-ins, rather than a physical boat where people can, if they climbed in, they can fall over and that sort of thing. The reality of bringing in a Newton is not there. You know what I mean? So,
man. Somebody wants to know, did you get the fire truck?
Yes, it requires an incredible amount of prep work, and it's not something that we've started to work on yet, but Mike has committed to giving us that. He said he's going to prep it, and so eventually that will happen. Right now, as far as real big, like that school bus is definitely going to go down. The Hansa jet is definitely going to go down, and then there's a myriad of boats and some other miscellaneous stuff that's going to be going down in the quarry. So, but that's a big undertaking that involves taking the engines out, and it's not just rolling in a fire engine.
Yeah. Someone wants to know, will the pet check-in process be in place?
Yeah, pets, dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there will be. It's going to be a little bit more involved now, just because there are certain things that we're required to collect from pet owners, like rabies shots and that sort of documentation. But yeah, to be quite honest about it, if I'm going to be candid about pets, is that I'm a huge dog lover. I love animals. The problem with pets is that if we have 100 dogs show up on a weekend, eventually somebody's dog's going to bite another dog, and that dog's going to bite another dog, and then that dog's going to bite a person. It's just inevitable. So we also realize that it's tough to get pet sitters and that sort of stuff for a weekend. So we've got to just find a careful balance there. But yeah, our intention is to allow animals there.
Okay. Next question is there going to be any staff with some kind of medical / EMT training for diving related emergencies if need be?
Yeah. So I can tell you the property manager, Mike Stallman, he actually teaches that sort of thing. So wilderness first aid and that sort of thing. So, along with that, are we going to have paramedics on call all day? No, that's not, but it's a 4-minute call. It's a 4-minute response time if we needed them. So again, I don't want to just throw out, yeah, that's going to happen, but I can tell you that a lot of instructors are rescue trained. They go through emergency first response or first aid training, oxygen provided. So there's a lot of people that are there just by default. All the firefighters and police officers that are training there just happens organically. But no, we're not hiring anybody specifically for that purpose.
Okay. There's a request to not put too much in the shallow side because there won't be enough room for people to dive.
I completely understand that, and the balance there too. And what we're trying to do, there are certain areas that are flat and tend to stir up because, let's face it, it's a training quarry, and new divers, and I'll challenge any diver, to their first 4 dives, that their buoyancy was nothing what it is today. So, you know, we have to allow for that to a certain extent. And what makes that easier is things for them to, for lack of a better term, land on, like a boat or a car, you know, or a training platform. So some of those more bare areas, I'd like to get some attractions in there, which is ultimately, I think, going to help the visibility. But we're not just going to just start making piles of junk at the bottom of the quarry. You know, it'll be done in a thoughtful way.
Okay, the last one that I have here right now is it would be nice to have an underwater video camera with live video on the bus, just like a rolling.
Yeah, yeah. Nice. I will hopefully, you know, with the use of GoPros and everything right now, to have a live stream. Sure. It's not on our list of things to do right now, but yeah, it's something we would consider, I'm sure.
Okay. All right. That's pretty much it. Like I said, if there are any questions that I didn't answer or get to, I'm going to be sending them all to Andy, so he will have all of this also to refer to, because I know it's hard to keep notes as you're talking or answering questions.
Yeah. Oh, that's appreciated, Linda. Yeah.
So we'll send this to you. And I guess in closing, thank you, Andy. Thank you, everybody that's come out for this presentation. We in the diving community are very excited to see, you know, what happens from here on out with the Gilboa Quarry. And I just want to wish people safe diving and have a great night. Thank you.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for having me. You guys are awesome. And yeah, thanks for everybody that attended and all the questions. And yeah, we're really looking forward to, you know, again, it's the community that we're looking to build more than anything. You know, there's a lot that happens topside that doesn't happen underwater. And we just want to keep on building on both. So thanks for having us.
Absolutely. See you. Bye.